At the UN Geneva, this high-level event on migration and integration was organized by the Holy See Mission Geneva, together with the Order of Malta, the International Catholic Migration Commission, Caritas Internationalis, and the Caritas Veritate Foundation. Keynote speaker Cardinal Marx detected, as he called it, a worrying attitude among the well-established.
I think it is no exaggeration to perceive in such a hardening of hearts the signs of an ethical and even spiritual drought. This language of exclusion has always in history been, and is also today, dangerous for a common future of our societies.
So, an ethical and spiritual drought, he called it. How do those droughts look like?
You know, what must be said is that toxic language, negative language, language without criteria, language without ways of looking at the human face of the phenomena is always dangerous. So this insensibility, we are probably in Europe, in many environments, but especially those environments that are not, how to say, inspired by the religious and ethical values, not only religious value, but also ethical inspiration, are easily xenophobic. And once you are xenophobic, you don't see human face anymore, you know. You take care of anything, you know. You take care of our environment, take care of the animals, take care of anything, but not of human being, because human beings is too complex. So it means this drought is that somehow humanity, which is avoiding the suffering humanity, is a very bad humanity. And if we are suffering from that and Cardinal is somehow accusing that, it is a bad news.
I'd like to speak a little bit from the heart, if I may. I think that integration is one of the ones that is the most neglected. And frankly, in today's toxic atmosphere, we have a lot of hard work to do to put this back into the right place.
The right place, the right place. Does not have every country a different definition of what the right place is?
It must have a different definition, I would say. It is, let's say, inclusion, social inclusion, integration, must correspond to the capacity of the country. Not all countries have the same capacity. So it is, I think it's legitimate, and we have to be responsible to allow and to see and to recognize this freedom, to see how a country can organize and how it can find the possibilities to integrate and to include socially the newcomers.
An unparalleled 65.6 million people around the world have been forced from home in search of peace, security, protection and living conditions that are consistent with their human dignity. Nearly 22.5 million of them are refugees. So there is a thin line between a migrant and a refugee.
But both phenomena are basically, how to say, caused by the same social, economic and political circumstances.
Do migrants, through the integration, cause change in the country that the country doesn't want? For example, on a religious level, the dominance of Islam, where many people are afraid of.
You know, these are probably the most touchy subject if you come to those kind of social or cultural identity. This is our legitimate concern of every country, and there is no doubt about that. And how to say, all these elements, especially how to say, see and find and recognize also the positive side of migration, is still somehow at the early stage.
I would like to conclude by referring to the now widely recognized special role of faith-based organizations and religious institutions in the protection and integration of migrants in host countries.
Has the importance of faith-based organizations within the UN system changed over the years?
I think, you know, when you have big problems, then you need participation of everybody. So all of a sudden, also United Nations needs everybody on board. So it means when the problem is big, everybody is important, and certainly faith-based organizations are important, and certainly church is important, and certainly, let's say, leadership of papacy is important.
The objective of this high-level event was to identify practical recommendations and good practices that aim to improve the integration of migrants that could be blended into the United Nations Global Compact on safe, regular and orderly migration.